second key is marketing and innovation. Now, if I were to ask you, what is the purpose of a business? This is the great question. The answer is not to make a profit. The answer is to create and keep a customer. It's to get a customer and then hold on to the customer. And a profit is the result of doing that in a cost-effective way. So we say the purpose of a business is to create customers. That's why I said earlier, is if you're concerned with your revenues and your profitability, create more customers. How do you create more customers? You innovate. So marketing and innovation are the heartbeat, kaboom, 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 of a business. Marketing means you're constantly contacting new prospective customers, and innovation means you're constantly improving the process of not only marketing, but of your products and services. So here's the second question. What is the measure of business success? What is the true measure, single measure of business success? The answer is customer satisfaction. Customer satisfaction. Every person in every major company that is successful has a single focus, is they focus on marketing and improving their marketing and their products simultaneously, and then they focus on customer satisfaction. The rule is this: make customers happy. Make customers happy. By the way, it's something that I love to teach to my friends is, do you want to be rich in business? Well, there's a person out there who will make you rich. It's like a genie in a cave, and the person is your customer. And you know how your customer will make you rich? Is you go to your customer and say, what can we do to make you happier than our competitors? What can we do to make you happier next time? And your customers will tell you, you'll do more of this or less of that, or if you'll start this or stop that, I'd be happier. And then you say, okay, we'll do that. And your customer will be happier, and they'll buy from you, they'll be more satisfied, and they'll be much happier. And they'll become loyal customers. So what I say is your customers will make you rich if you have the courage to go and ask them, what can we do to make you happy? What can we do to make you happier? What can we do to make you even happier? And the way you do customer research is you don't say, how's everything going? Because if you say, how is everything going? There's 22 years of research on this, by the way. I know so much good stuff. But basically, if you say, how's it going? They'll say, fine. And if a person says fine and makes no other comment, they're already talking to your competitor and planning to leave you. If they say fine and have no other comment, you've lost that customer. So instead of saying, how is everything going? You say, how could we serve you better in the future? How could we serve you better in the future? And they will tell you. And everything they tell you is what they're unhappy about today with your services. Here's an interesting point. Every company that is a big success today started off as a failure. They started off with products and services that were not particularly good. And then they got feedback from their customers, and they constantly improved them until they were recognized as being excellent in their market. You do not have to be the best with your product or service. You just have to be in the top 10%. Now here's an aside with regard to marketing, and this is one of probably the most important work ever done at Harvard, 50 years of research on marketing and competitive advantage. And the expression is unique added value. This comes from Michael Porter's work. Unique added value means that people buy your product or service because they perceive that you offer unique added value. Now the word unique in any language is a special word. It's a word that cannot be qualified. That means it cannot be uniquer or more unique or less unique or uniquest. You cannot qualify. Unique is one and only. So the key to business success is for you to offer unique added value. Is you offer something that the customer wants. Remember we talked about value creation? What the customer wants and needs and values and is willing to pay for, and that no other competitor can offer. And I'll give you a very simple example. One of the richest men in the world is a man named Tom Monahan. And he was a struggling student, an orphan, delivering pizzas for a small pizza restaurant when he was 20 years old. And he was attending courses at the local university in East Lansing, Michigan. And whenever he delivered pizzas, which he did in the evenings, it would take 60 to 90 minutes from the time the pizza was ordered to the time they were able to deliver it. And whenever he delivered pizzas, instead of people, especially students, being grateful, they were angry. Why does it take so long to get a pizza? And they kept asking him that, and they would throw tips at him, and they were just abusive. They weren't appreciative at all. And so he came up with an insight. And the insight is that when people order a pizza, they're already hungry. They don't order a pizza thinking, well, I'll be hungry in an hour when it gets here. When they order the pizza, they're already hungry. And you know what you're like when you're hungry. Well, that's how they're like. And there's 2 or 3 of them, and they order the pizza, and they're all sitting there, and they're hungry. And when the person finally shows up, they're angry. So he said, speed is more important than quality. And so he developed a concept. I could spend time teaching you, but basically, would deliver your pizza within 30 minutes or no charge. And he put up signs all over this university, which had 22,000 students. He bought a bankrupt pizza restaurant, sold his Volkswagen for the initial funds, got his brother and some other kids to work with him, and they reduced their number of pizzas to 8 pizzas that they could pre-prepare of medium size. That's all. So that's all you could order was a medium-sized pizza, one of these 8 kinds. And they pre-prepared the pizzas, so when the order came in, they put it in the oven, 12 minutes, cut it up. In 15 minutes after the order came in, the pizza was handed to the delivery boy, and they delivered it within a 5-mile or 5-kilometer radius. That was the beginning of what is called Domino's Pizza. Familiar with Domino's Pizza? There's more than 8,000 Domino's Pizza worldwide. Tom Monahan, a long time ago, sold his interest in Domino's for $1.8 billion. He's one of the richest men in the world because he came up with one simple, unique added value. The pizza may not be great pizza. It's pre-prepared, sometimes pre-frozen, but it's fast. And no other pizza company from that day to this in the world has ever tried to offer pizza delivery in 30 minutes. And so with Domino's, he became one of the richest men in the world with one unique added value. Now sometimes the unique added value is yourself, is you are a special person with special talents, you have a great personality, you're very customer sensitive, you have lots of experience in this area, so you can really do a wonderful job for your customer. So sometimes it's just something as simple as you, being the unique added value that no other company in the world has. But you've got to have one. And the rule is if you don't have one, you must develop it. You must figure out what do you have to have that then people say, why do they buy from you? They buy from you because you offer this and no other competitor can offer this. Really important. So the third question is, what is the mark of customer satisfaction? What's the measure of customer satisfaction? Repeat business. Repeat business is the mark of customer satisfaction, and the highest level of customer satisfaction is customer recommendations and referrals to new customers. The most successful companies take such good care of their customers that their customers buy from them and buy again and again and bring their friends. And so your job, this is your focus in building your ideal business. What do we have to do to, first of all, create customers, unique added value? What do we have to do to please our customers, to make them really happy so that they come back? And what do we have to do to get our customers to buy from us again? In our 2-day MBA, by the way, we go into depth at every single one of these, and it literally transforms a business, transforms the whole thinking of everybody in the business and every customer contact. So the first of the 7 keys, number 1 is set and achieve business goals. The second is to market and innovate. And innovating means finding faster, better, cheaper ways to make customers happy. Number 3 is to solve problems and make decisions. Now, I sometimes joke and I say, I have looked and I've memorized the job descriptions of everyone in this room before I came. I have a list of all of your names and your job descriptions, and I know what everybody here does for a living. And everybody, of course, is very skeptical. And I'll tell you what it is that your job description, you ma'am, you are problem solver. And you, sir, you're a problem solver. And you are chief problem solver, and you're assistant problem solver, and you're, junior problem solver. But all we do all day long is solve problems and make decisions. If there were not problems to be solved and decisions to be made, our work would be automated, and is automated. So that, therefore, your job is to solve problems. And here's what I discovered, because I've done courses on problem solving and decision making for IBM all over the country, is that your ability to solve problems and make decisions is really the critical ability for success, advancement, and high income. When you look at people who start off in their first job with no earning ability with a large company, and 20 years later they're the president of that company, first of all, they climbed up the ladder of success, but they developed the ability to solve problems at their level. And what Henry Kissinger said was the only thing you get for solving problems is bigger problems to solve. But bigger problems come with more responsibility, more authority. A factory is losing money. They send you out there to save the factory, save the jobs of 5,000 people, and you go in and you say, what are the problems that we're having in this factory that's keeping down our productivity or affecting our quality and so on, and they send out the best problem solvers. All my life I've met people who have started at the bottom and who are now top executives in major international corporations, and they say the reason they got here was because they developed an ability to solve the problems at their level. So I could talk about this all day, and I do. I'll just give you one thought, and this is so simple, it's embarrassing, is how do you become a great problem solver? And the answer is you focus on the solution rather than the problem. You think intensely about solutions all the time. Now, what is it that average people, the bottom 80% of people, think about when a problem arises? The answer is who did it and who's to blame. They are focused on the past and the problem. What's the problem and who's to blame? What is it that top people do? They say you cannot change a past event. This problem has occurred, so now it is a reality. So the only question now is what do we do about it? How do we solve it? What is our next action? And so when you constantly think in terms of solutions, you become more and more valuable. And the more you think in terms of solutions to any problem in your life, the more you come up with solutions, the more creative you become. You become smarter and brighter. And when you are solving problems and discussing different choices and alternatives, you become more positive, you become more powerful, you become more influential, and eventually people say, you've got a problem, take it to him, take it to her, because they're really good at solving problems. And your mind is in problem-solving mode all the time. It's like it's clicked on and running all the time. And so you start throwing problems in the top of your hopper, and the solutions are coming out all the time. Because you think about solutions, not blame. When you think about blame, it shuts down your brain. When you think about blame, who's to blame for the problem, it shuts down your creativity. It makes you negative, it makes you angry, and it makes you a negative influence on others. But when you think about solutions, you become the most important person in the room. So think about solutions. Now, here's a great exercise. Ask yourself, what is the biggest problem that I'm facing in my life today? Now, what is it that most people do is they can identify the problem. You all know what it is. Usually the biggest problem in your life comes with hair on top. But we all know what the biggest problem is. Sometimes it's a business problem and so on. So then the next question is, what's the solution? What are all the possible solutions? And here's what they found is the more solutions you can think of, I could do this, I could do that, I could do this, I could do that, the more likely it is you'll come up with a great solution. And so just start thinking in terms of solutions. I have the problem, but what's the great challenge with most people is they're passive. They have the problem and they accept it. Oh, I've got this problem. It's like standing in the rain. Not here, of course, but or standing in the sun and complaining about the weather. And the fact is that proactive people like yourself, they say, this is a problem, it's an obstacle, it's causing me unhappiness or frustration, and by gum, I'm going to solve this problem. And they just start to think, well, how can we do it? And they ask other people, and they read, and they research. I remember a wonderful, wonderful story. This man took his little girl, 6, 7 years old, to the doctor, and she was sickly. And he and his wife took her to the doctor, and the doctor could not figure out what was wrong with her. He took her from doctor to doctor to doctor, and finally he took her to a doctor, and the doctor did a special set of tests and came up and said, I'm sorry to tell you, but she's got a fatal illness, a terminal illness. She's got this special disease that very, very few people have, 1 in a million, and there's no cure. And so she's going to die within 6 to 9 months. So you should make her as comfortable as possible. Well, these parents were really passionately concerned about their little girl. And so he went on the internet. This was just a few years ago, and he started doing research on this illness. He found that there were other people all over the world who had this illness, had it in their family, but as he found that there was a professor at the University of Western Australia, in Australia, who had researched this for 10, 15 years and found a diagnosis. And the professor's name was Lorenzo. And he'd come up with an oil that you could take or you could put on the skin that would actually eventually solve this illness. And so they made a movie with Nick Nolte called Lorenzo's Oil. You remember the movie? And it was all about this story about this father would not give up finding a solution. He looked all over the world, and he finally found someone who had found the cure and saved his daughter's life. The best doctors in the United States had told him to go home and make her comfortable because she's going to die and there's nothing you could do. But no damn way for this guy. He just went at it like a bulldog until he found a solution. I love that story because that's the story of the people here in this room. Is when you have a problem, you say, oh, I'm not going to be passive about this problem. Sales are down, profits are down, competition is tremendous, regulations are changing, and so on. I'm going to find a solution. I will find a solution. And I worked with some of the most successful people in the world, some of the richest people in the world, and they all have that attitude. Is a problem is just something to be solved. It's an obstacle, it's something to go over or under or around. Is they just expect that life is going to be full of obstacles and difficulties, and by gum, they will find a solution. So solving problems and making decisions is one of the 7 most important things you do. Number 4 is to set priorities and determine key tasks. This, in all the time management work that I've done, and all the books I've written, and millions of people I've influenced, all of time management comes down to your ability to choose priorities, to select one thing and do only that one thing until it's complete. And so setting priorities, and there's a whole series of techniques that you can do, but my favorite question of all in time management is to ask every minute of every hour, what is the most valuable use of my time right now? What is the most valuable use of my time right now? When you start work in the morning, if your entire income and all your hopes and dreams for yourself and your family and your future are determined by the revenues that you generate, by your income, then the most valuable use of your time is to create value and generate revenues. And don't do anything but that. Don't do anything that is a secondary use of your time, because whatever you do repeatedly over and over again becomes a habit. And pretty soon you develop the habit of doing small, unimportant things. And then you can't break the habit. It traps you. Every time you go to work, it's like the ball on the string. You just come, boom, and you start doing little, irrelevant things. Soon the whole day is gone, and you haven't achieved anything. So the key is to set priorities and focus on your most important priority. Focus, focus. The 5th characteristic of leaders is the ability to concentrate and focus on the most important thing you can do and to stay with it until it's 100% complete. Now, in life, what are we paid for? We're paid for results. But results mean task completion. So all of success in business is completing tasks, is complete the task, finish the task, get the task 100% done. The difference between winners and losers is they all work hard, but losers, the bottom 80%, don't complete their tasks. Is they work on the task and the task goes on and they get distracted, or they procrastinate, or the task takes much too long to complete. But what you and I are evaluated on is task completion, is finishing the job, getting the damn job completed. Now, when I was introduced, they said I've written 45 books. I'm happy to say that statistic's about a year old. I've written 65 books. Was that too quick for you? It's about 5 years old. I write 4 books a year. This year, I published 8 books. And most professional writers, and I don't consider myself to be a writer. You don't see that anywhere in my biography. You know, I've written books, but I don't say writer. I just write books because I have great ideas, practical ideas that I think people can use to be more effective. So I come up with the idea and I write it into a book. But because I've done so many thousands of hours of research, I can write almost every book starting with a clean sheet of paper. I can write a 300-page book without reference to notes on 65 different subjects. And they're loaded, as you know, with content. They're just loaded with great ideas, hundreds of great ideas on a particular subject. Anyway, people say, well, how can you write so many books? A professional writer writes 1 book every 2 or 3 years. And the answer is because I finish. I set it as a goal, I make a plan, I start work, and I finish the book. I complete the damn book. Do you know how many writers or would-be writers are out there who have books in their minds or books on paper and they never write the book? My good friend that I traveled with when I was 20 years old, we talked about writing books at that time, and he worked on his book until the age of 60. He worked for more than 35 years on his book, and he never completed it. He just kept working. Meanwhile, I was writing 4 books a year, boom, 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 boom. And they've sold millions and millions of copies in almost every major language. Not because I'm any great genius, it's because I start and I finish. And the most incredible thing about task completion is that whenever you complete a task, it gives you a burst of endorphin. It makes you happy. It makes you feel powerful. It energizes you. It makes you feel strong. So what they have found is that any completed task is a source of self-esteem and self-confidence. It makes you feel like a winner. So if you have a series of tasks to do, and let's say you have 10 tasks, and this is the least important, and this is the most important, the bigger the task that you complete, the greater the feeling of personal power and self-esteem you have. The more you feel like a winner. And so if you can develop the habit of starting and completing tasks, you feel fabulous about yourself all the time. Your self-confidence goes through the roof because you know you can do anything that you put your mind to because you've proven it to yourself. It's not that you hope you can complete important tasks. You've done it, and you do it regularly. Nothing will move you ahead faster than developing a reputation for starting and completing important tasks. They interviewed several hundred CEOs of major corporations at a convention in New York a few years ago, and they asked them, what would most help a person in your company, a younger person, to move ahead rapidly, to get paid more and promoted faster in your company? 85% of them had the same answer. The ability to choose their most important task and then to get the task done quickly and well. And that has been corroborated by 1,000 surveys. Is the most valuable people in my company are people who set priorities and work on really important things with big potential consequences for my company, and then they do them quickly and well. Quickly and well. They do the job fast and they do it well and get it back to me. I learned this when I was a young person and it transformed my life. As from then on, I just literally was like a fanatic. Every job my boss gave me, I did it quickly and well. Quickly and well. I'd stay up all night. I would work weekends. I would work hours to complete tasks well in advance of when they were required. And it had the most incredible effect on my career. All you do is get a reputation for doing things quickly and well. And what happens is you set up the law of attraction. More and bigger and more important tasks are attracted into your life that you do quickly and well.